Alright, we're doing some gluing out here. Basically, I considered the Gorilla Glue, the Scenic Glue, and the Elmer's Glue All for gluing the track to the layout, and I decided on the Glue All, mainly because it's cheap and before doing something more exotic, and plus the Gorilla Glue seemed like it would really be difficult to work with, and kind of also I don't have gloves to work with it, so I figured, okay, probably the Glue All is going to be the safest one. I focused on putting the glue right at the joints so it would have a lot of material to glue onto. I did try putting some of the glue all right on the edge of the track, and there's just not a lot of material there. It's a very thin edge, and I figured, okay, probably the joints are a better spot because there's just more spot for the glue to get into. I made 5 to 10 millimeter little dots by each one of the, well, I lifted up the track, put 5 to 10 millimeter dot right around where the joint would be, and then put the track back on and kind of wiped away the excess. Very little excess on the joints anyway. So I'm intending for that to be the first round of gluing. The second, and then I put all these weights. You can see on the layout, we just kind of put weights on everything. The second round will be when I put the ballast on, and I'm figuring the ballast is also going to help secure the track. So this is going to be the first round here. And I'm expecting that between the ballast and the Elmer's, the track is going to be just locked down as permanent as it needs to be. If it doesn't work out, I suspect that the Gorilla Glue will be the next round here. So at this point, we are gluing. It took about 5-10 minutes to get through all the joints. Hello everybody, welcome back. I want to talk a little bit about the glue operation. Most of the track is either right on the scenery or within 1 millimeter or 1/16 of an inch of the track. I'm actually pointing the the camera right now at the one place where it is worse than that. It's probably about 2 millimeters or 1/8 of the inch off of the scenery there. I'm planning on adding ballast, so that should keep it on. Let me kind of point out that it is still firmly on there. I glued at this joint and this joint, so the track is still firmly on there. When the train goes over, it doesn't bend or flex or anything. So I'm figuring with the ballast, it's just going to be looking perfect. So I'm really liking how the glue turned out. It's keeping everything in place for the final ballasting. The next part of the layout that I have worked on is in the city, and I've added one street here and a long street here. The short street is to make sure that I have some buildings facing towards the front so I can see how they're looking, and the other main street is just kind of to line up everything else. I need to drill some holes to get the lighting to come on. So tomorrow's operation should be, well, drilling of the holes to light up the buildings. Otherwise, everything is coming along quite nicely. I got one tree on the mountain there just to kind of check for clearances there. So it's looking good. Otherwise, I'm liking the results of the set. We got some drilling for the buildings. We got some ballasting. And then finally, I'm going to be putting in some brush. And the layout should be looking pretty good at that point in time. Before I glued down the track, I replaced the girder bridges from the red, which you might have seen on the previous videos, to, well, these are officially gray on the right, although they are not gray like the viaduct to the left is gray. I would describe it as having kind of a blue-green tinge to it, which, while it's not as bright as the red, it isn't gray like the track is gray or that the viaducts is gray. The viaducts are gray, but it does tone it down, so it's not as bright as the previous red. But just be warned that the gray track is not actually, the gray bridge is not actually gray. It's kind of a little bit blue, a little bit green. Well, that's how it turned out. But it still looks pretty good though. All right, bye. I want to touch upon a little bit of reliability of operation. Steve of Steve's Trains, when he did his layout, he had a couple of sections where the main loop actually had to pass through the curved section of a number 6 switch, and he seemed to be pretty reliable. He seemed to have some pretty good reliability, so it helped make me confident when I worked on it. And I can say that running the switch trains through the curved part of number 6 switches, I haven't had any concerns whatsoever. In fact, if I had to summarize the reliability of the Kato track, I would say just spectacular. The only thing that I've had any type of problems with, well, actually, no, there's a couple of problems. First off, my FEF 484 steam engine cannot make it through 248 millimeter track, so that was a little bit of a disappointment. The only other one is sometimes, and I have to say it's pretty rare, and I don't even think I have an example that I could show on video because it's so rare, when I run these very long passenger trains backwards through a curve and then reverse direction going forward in the curve, sometimes the engine will uncouple. And I have to say it's pretty rare, and considering that the couplers on the engines are on the body and the couplers on the very long passenger cars are on the trucks, having disconnects of that one, I would kind of, going backwards, I would expect that to be common, but it's not even particularly common. On the broader curves, they stay together pretty well. I feel very confident running this train backwards and forwards and switching directions, and just not having it. So I have to say the Kato track and the Kato passenger cars, very reliable. Just really haven't had any disconnect issues.